This is an Irreverent podcast. Check out irreverent.fm for shows from all our friends. Hello and welcome to Exvangelical. I'm your host, Blake Chastain. This is a minisode to describe a new funding model that I'm pursuing where I will be donating 25% of net revenue to organizations that serve populations harmed by white evangelicalism. 5 years ago, I started this podcast in an effort to understand why so many people, myself included, had decided to leave the white evangelical church that formed me, and I used the Exvangelical hashtag in order to promote the podcast. It's since taken on a life of its own, and the hashtag has garnered over 100,000 impressions a day on Twitter, over 45,000 uses on Instagram, and over 300 million views on TikTok. In 2017, the Exvangelical Facebook group opened to the public. It started with less than 100 members and now has over 10,000. In 2019, for a number of reasons, I took a much-needed break from podcasting. In 2020, I launched the newsletter, the Post-Evangelical Post, and my second podcast, Powers and Principalities. And this year, 2021, I joined forces with a number of other podcasters to form the Irreverent Media Group Collective. I've been doing this work for years and have been fortunate to cover the costs, including taxes, etc., through direct support via platforms like Patreon and Substack. But as many other participants in the creator economy know, burnout is real, especially when life's other obligations like family and day jobs and anything else factor in, and our most public-facing work doesn't provide a full-time income. So today, I'm launching a new effort to make this work financially sustainable and do so in a way that is consistent with my own ethics. Here's how it works. When you support the Post-Evangelical Post at $8 a month, I will donate 25% of net revenue to organizations that serve populations harmed by white evangelicalism. At launch, I'm working with 3 great organizations: White Homework, the Religious Trauma Institute, and REAP, the Religious Exemption Accountability Project, and I'm in the process of identifying a 4th. I'm setting an ambitious goal for 1,000 new paid subscribers. At that level of support, I would be able to fully fund cash grants for each of these organizations to a total of $5,225 to each of those organizations I mentioned. That equals out to, for every 250 supporters, that cash grant goal would be fully funded for 1 year, though it is very important to note that donations are not contingent upon reaching that supporter goal and will still be dispersed monthly. At launch, supporter benefits will include ad-free feeds to this show, Exvangelical and Powers and Principalities, as well as access to paid supporter posts on the Post-Evangelical Post. You will also be able to comment on all entries of the Post-Evangelical Post, and later on I will be adding a Discord, and in the summer of next year, we'll be launching a book club called The Good Books. Now you might be wondering, why Substack? I chose Substack because this, like all my projects thus far, is a bootstrapped effort. I've taken no outside capital or investment and typically reinvest all income from supporters directly back into covering costs for things like paying for an audio editor, various web services, etc. Substack has no annual costs but takes an admittedly hefty 10% of all gross revenue, but in exchange does offer a straightforward product that makes clear sense to an audience. From a creator standpoint, their publishing tools are also incredibly straightforward and surprisingly versatile. And crucially, Substack is part of what's called the open subscription platform. So if I ever decided to move to a different platform like Ghost, I could do so with minimal interruption for myself or my supporters. I spent a lot of time considering different platforms available in 2021, including Patreon and others, and Substack offers the most features of what I'm looking for as both a writer and podcaster, despite its higher percentage share of revenue. Now, why this model? This one is actually far more straightforward, because I think it's the right thing to do. I'm building this from the ground up with no outside funding and have an opportunity right now to build a business model that includes reparative economics from the very beginning. My work focuses on the personal and social impact of white evangelicalism, and by committing to donating a significant percentage of my net revenue to organizations that serve communities that have been historically harmed by white evangelicalism, I am able to quite literally put my money where my mouth is. Further, I know that I cannot and should not try to speak to every potential audience, but I can help to finance the work of others who are better equipped than me to do so. I also acknowledge that the work I do is sensitive, and as a cis white man asking for direct support, it may activate some traumas that my own potential audience of supporters has. So long as we remain a capitalist society that doesn't provide universal basic income nor universal health care, that will remain an unavoidable tension in reality when I seek direct payment for my output. I hope to address some of that tension through this model. This ambitious goal of 1,000 new paid subscribers was not designed for sheer profit, but to articulate a goal that would allow me to commit myself to this work full-time and not fall into financial precarity. At my life stage as a parent and partner, risky financial endeavors aren't really an option. And even if I don't reach this goal, I will still be able to help support the work of some incredible creators and organizations. I do want to acknowledge and thank my existing supporters and also offer the option for them to lock in the current rate they're paying. Current paid supporters should have received an email a couple of weeks ago with a discount code that can be applied to the new monthly rate of $8 a month. The annual option no longer offers a discount, but if you prefer to pay in one lump sum, you may absolutely do so. Over the last few years, the number of voices exploring issues related to the negative social impact of white evangelicalism has exploded. Whether the terms are used are things like exvangelical, ex-evangelical, deconstruction, decolonizing, faith shift, or something else entirely. I'm very encouraged to see so many people challenging the dominant evangelical narratives that have held sway over public discussions of religion and society. I'm also thankful for my part in those discussions, and thankful that the broader conversations happening around faith groups in the United States and elsewhere has become more nuanced. Yet I still believe that we are in very early days, and we are far from approaching anything near parity with the capital and resources available to powerful white evangelical institutions. These efforts have largely been self-funded individually and funded through Patreon or other platforms made available through the creator economy. If I'm able to reach this ambitious goal, I would love to expand the scope of this work even further. By articulating this vision now, I hope to make it possible to responsibly scale this enterprise. If you've enjoyed my work in the past or want to help support my current and future work, I would be honored if you consider supporting the Post-Evangelical Post, Exvangelical, Powers and Principalities with a paid membership today. A free tier will always be available for as long as I write or podcast publicly. Thank you for listening this far. If you're interested in supporting this work, head on over to postevangelicalpost.substack.com to subscribe. Thanks for listening. We'll talk soon.